As hunters, we rely on our gear to help us get the job done. From start to harvest, each piece of equipment we acquire plays a role in the hunt. Everyone's journey in gathering these items is unique. From hand-me-downs to newly purchased, we all seek to find the perfect fit in our arsenal that takes us to the top.
Hey guys, I'm Steven.
I am Jake.
Welcome to another gear review video. Today's topic is binos and I guess just kind of optics, period.
Yeah,
so
knockers.
Knockers.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
We got rangefinders, binos, different kinds, what we've used, where we've progressed again, and what we like about each different thing, you know?
Yep.
I like this rangefinder a lot. He likes his. And there's a lot of differences in them. We've obviously have 3 different sizes, 10 by 42s,
12 by 50s,
15 by 56s. So all 3 of them are great for different scenarios. And he's actually been sticking with those and have a very, very good multi-use. Which, I mean, are those the first set that you've ever had? Or?
Yeah, that's the first and only bino I've ever purchased.
Really?
This is my original set. I think this is kind of the go-to for any Western hunter, and definitely I see a lot of the guys on, Facebook, Instagram. This is what a lot of the guys kind of gravitate towards. My dad just bought his first set of binos, and this is what he bought. These are the Vortex Diamondback 12 by 50s. I mean, this is kind of your like quintessential binos that a lot of guys run.
Yeah, 12 by 50. That's like, in my opinion, if you're not running a small and a big, that is the size to have in general.
And I've messed around with a lot of different power and stuff and everything. And man, I just found times where like, if I'm turkey hunting, 10s are great.
Right.
But like if I'm glassing deer, I don't want 10s. I just don't like it. I want 12s.
Or bears or whatever.
Yeah. Sometimes 15s. 15s are killer. Just killer. But sometimes, if you're in thick pines, like it's not that great.
Yeah, these aren't like practical for turkey hunting in the pines, or even elk hunting in the pines.
Yep.
These are just overkill.
Yep.
If you get an elk coming in.
But they're super sweet.
But if you just depends on the situation, Yeah. Like that's why I'm running these 2 different sizes. I started off with these 10 by 42s, and that's just what, like growing up hunting, that was what the old man he's had. He had an old pair of Zeiss Classics that were the 10 by 40s, and he'll still say today that those are the best binos ever made. But that was what we always had, and we were always hunting rifle season for elk and stuff like that. So my first pair of binos were going to be 10 by 42s. That's just what it was.
Yep.
And getting into hunting, I realized, these are good for certain things. And I already had these, so I figured, you know what? Why not step up to the big boys?
To the big boy game.
And I wanted 15s. Before this, I actually even bought a pair of the...
You had Kai badge or something.
Yeah, of the Vortex 15s, and they were the Vultures.
The Vultures.
Which are okay. But these are, in my opinion, just night and day. Clarity, quality-wise, steadiness, eye relief, everything. I mean, they're Swarovskis for a reason. So,
let's talk kind of price point. So I think these are around $250, $275.
Okay.
Obviously, do your research, Google, whatever. But I'm guessing that's what those are around.
These Razor 10s, I think I paid like $950 when I first bought them. These are Razor HDs. Now they've got a Razor UHDs that are ridiculous.
Yep.
This, I think, I ended up walking out close to...
Like 2,500?
I think it was like 26 or 27 for these. But well worth it, I think, in my opinion, for certain hunts.
If you've looked, anyone that's ever looked through a pair of Swaros, it's like no question. There's a definite difference.
Yeah, and actually the first time I ended up using these where when you were actually renting them from Open Country Optics.
Yep.
And he had a bunch of these, and we used them, and I'm sold.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, so things you'll find differences like edge-to-edge clarity in this isn't going to be as good around the edges. It'll be blurry a little bit. You won't have clarity as much, whereas like if you look through these, clear all the way through. Right. Eye relief, man, if I sit behind these for like probably more than 2 hours, going on 3 hours, my eyes start to hurt. And after a full long day of hunting, if I'm heavy glassing, my eyes are like killing me to the point of where I've had like bloodshot in my eyes sometimes before and stuff.
I've also gotten dizziness sometimes
Yeah.
with stuff like that. Yeah.
It like messes with your, what's that called? Equilibrium kind of, or what? You just feel like a little off and weird. Whereas like these, you could sit behind them all day and never have an issue.
Yeah.
So yeah, I remember sometimes I'd put my phone scope on here and look at my phone, so I didn't have to
So you
look
didn't
through
have to,
the
like, keep going
binos,
up
and I'd
to
be
them?
staring at a screen instead of, which probably isn't necessarily any better, but it changed it up.
Right. Yeah, I mean they all. So nowadays these new binos, they've all got these rotating in and out cups.
Mm-hmm.
Back in the day, they used to have those big old rubber ones that you'd flap over or whatever if you had glasses and all that. So today's binos are getting better and better.
For sure.
But that just, I mean, like you said, these are 200 something that he's paid for, and they've been working. We've been using those ever since.
I'm about due for an upgrade, probably. I think I'm getting ready to, yeah. But I mean, there's plenty of companies to choose from too. These are just the ones that we've gone with. I mean, there's Maven, Right On, there's Vortex, Swaro, Bushnell.
Yeah, you name it, man. Sig makes some that are
Sig.
supposed like these right here, but
else
they've
am I
got
forgetting?
Zeiss, Leicas. This is another big one. Leopold, yeah. So there's a ton of them.
Mm-hmm.
Just whatever's comfortable to you, whatever one you can see through clearly.
Yep.
Try them out, obviously.
Heck yeah.
As far as other optics, rangefinders, you are probably 2 yards away from a
the battery's dead. Good thing I did that now before my hunt.
So I'm running the Sig Kilo. I think this is the 1800. Yeah, the 1800. This thing is sweet. It's got magnification in it. The dial's real easy, turns in. Nice holdover. It's got angle compensation. It's the Cadillac, in my opinion, to be honest. This will link up if you have the Sig Sierra rifle scope. If you ever try to link that up with your rifle, it'll do the whole drop down, whatever. So it's cool. I truly don't remember what I paid for it. I think it was around 400, something like that. But before this, I had a Leopold, and I ended up having to send the Leopold back because it wouldn't range anything. I think it was past like 14 yards, and it would just do a blank screen. Oof. It would just like load. So I sent it back, and I needed something for an elk hunt that we had.
Yeah.
So I just went and bought this, and I've used it ever since. So.
Yep. I am currently using the Vortex Ranger 1300. Previously, my first original one that I bought was a Nikon Aculon, I believe off Amazon for probably $100.
Is that one for like golfing?
No, it's camo and it's for hunting. But
that's right. Yeah. I remember a story about that.
I lost it. I lost it on my very first deer hunt, and then I found it like a year later in the exact same spot where I was laying prone and shot my buck, and picked it up and it still worked. So props to that. But then I lost it again, and I found out very quickly that having a camo rangefinder is a real son of a gun. When you set it down and it blends in with everything. So maybe put a red little sticker dot on your rangefinder if you're a person that sets it down. Geez. I had always, this was kind of before the time, or before, well, I shouldn't say that, before I was aware of like or those called coyote tails and stuff. The
tethers?
The tethers, yeah. Okay. Basically the tethers that they have on some of the harnesses
different
and stuff.
Accessories and stuff, yeah.
So I wanted something that I could clip onto, and I know it sounds silly, but like I was more sold on the rangefinder because of this clip.
I remember that exactly.
And I still love it, man. I absolutely love. I didn't have a rangefinder holder at the time, so I was just clipping it on my pack strap or like a shirt or whatever.
Any webbing or whatever you could, yeah.
And so I still am a big fan of it. I love it, and it fits in my rangefinder pouch with no problem. But I mean, same thing. This is kind of rubberized on the outside, which makes it nice and easy to hold. It doesn't slip around. Some of the rangefinders are like a smooth plastic on the outside, and I'm not a fan of that. There's different levels of the Ranger series depending on how far you want to range. I think this maxes out at like $699 or something like that, $700, $750.
Yeah, they say like, what, 13 to a reflective target or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, come on.
Yeah, I'm not going to be shooting over that, so I don't care. Angle compensation, all that stuff, anything I've ever needed, and it ranges, I think, at 5 yards starting. So the only drawback I've ever had on this that has kind of bit me, and maybe I can change it in the settings, I haven't even messed around with it, but the reticle on yours too and mine is illuminated. So it's like a reddish orange when you look through and it's illuminated. And sometimes when I range an animal, I've had a buck that I arranged, it's this coos right up here actually, ranged him in the dark, and it was like getting that last light to where you can still see to shoot, but it was like blinding almost because of that glowing reticle. Yeah.
Yeah, you could probably change that. I don't know if you can, I don't know. Maybe that's something, if you guys know of, leave a comment or something or whatever, but
yeah, maybe like these idiots. There's a setting right there. Which is okay. I've just never messed with it. I've just left it and I've just used it. But it's only been, I think, 1 or 2 instances where I'm like, man, that was really bright as I'm, first light or last light ranging something. But so that could be a user error, not necessarily manufacturer. But yeah, I'm still using this. I always keep a couple extra batteries, which is good because this one's dead. So
yeah, I just checked, mine works. So we're good.
So yeah, I have no complaints about this. It's been great, and I'll keep using it till it fails. Otherwise,
yeah. So these are some different optics that we've used over times that have worked for us that we continue to use. He's been using these for a long period of time, looking to upgrade possibly.
$180 for this rangefinder, by the way. I didn't throw a price on that one. So I think it's about $180.
So,
but yeah, I am looking to grow. I'm not going to jump to that. Probably somewhere in between here.
Come on, bro. You don't want to get the Swaro NLs now that they came out with?
No. I don't think they even have 12s for those, do they?
They've got a 12x42, yeah. Oh. So, right. But yeah, so this is just what we've used, what's worked for us, scenarios.
We have had some spotters too. Let's talk about that real quick also, because we've dabbled in the spotter realm. And you just sold yours. So so kind of what was your evolution and your thought process on that?
So initially I was running the 10x42s, and I wanted big glass, right? So I ended up buying a Swarovski ATS. It was a 2060 by 80 spotting scope, and that thing, you can see a fly move. I mean, it was ridiculous. And that was the year right before the BTX came out, but the BTX is another just crazy high power spotting scope, but an awesome spotting scope. It's very heavy. Spotting scopes, depending on how big you go, can get very heavy, so keep that in mind when you're trying to think about what kind of glass you're going to use. I've used it maybe a handful of times, and I just never ended up, in my opinion, using it enough to keep it. And so I wanted something to where I can have good big size glass like this, and something that I can keep on my chest, because like I said, that spotting scope is heavy, so carrying that thing around everywhere, going up and down a canyon, because when you're spotting scope, you're going to try and glass far. So it just wasn't practical for me, and these have kind of taken it over for me as far as the spotting scope. And But yeah, they worked great. Just not my cup of tea of what I wanted to use.
Yep.
So
I've never owned a spotting scope, but I've rented them from some of the companies that are out there. And I've had the Swaro, spotting scope and all that. And yeah, I just found that it was like extra weight that I really didn't want to carry around.
Yeah.
It didn't do a whole lot that my binos couldn't necessarily do for me. I could at least identify, like, there's a buck over there. He's either is or isn't big enough, through my 12s that I care to go over there or not care to go over there. And it was like, at that point, well, why am I carrying this thing around?
Yeah, I mean, these 15s have done.
I could understand big use case scenarios that I could understand would be definitely like sheep hunting. I would for sure have a spotter for sheep hunting. If you got to identify if a ram is like full curl and you really want to zoom in there and get a good look or something, like that 100% would be a use case scenario for a spotter. But otherwise, man, I think any of these are going to get you by.
Right. The only time I could say that when we had a spotter that worked for us was during your bear hunt when we were questioning if we ended up hitting it and we were trying to see if we could find blood in that, pull that spotter out and you could see blood right on that rock. So, so we knew right away we were going to jump over there and try and start tracking that. But other than that, these right here have been plenty enough for me. So, hopefully that helps in deciding what you want.
Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you in the next one.